plan is to construct a 1.6 megawatt wind turbine which will stand nearly 400 feet tall, making it the largest wind turbine on the Massachusetts North Shore. It's projected to supply Ipswich with 3% of its total electric energy. Now it's time to hire the D&C Construction Company of Rockland to prepare the area for the massive building project. This site is on top a hill at the end of the Town Farm Road. It overlooks the Ipswich marshes and the Atlantic Ocean. The prevailing wind here is clocked at 13 miles per hour at a pretty constant rate. The initial construction consists of excavating a pit 30 feet square and 20 feet deep at the center of the site. The sheets of steel are driven into the proper depth. The cofferdam is completed by the end of December and the foundation's excavation is finished. But trying to work on top of a hill overlooking the Atlantic Ocean at the end of December into January and February is very taxing on the construction workers. This is hard and grueling work. The crew from D&C Construction is to be commended for their dedication and professionalism. By the end of January, corrugated steel plates arrive at the worksite. The crew must construct two massive steel cans, one 12 feet in diameter and the other 16 feet in diameter. These are to be lowered into the foundation hole to form the base of the tower. Again, the cold of the winter makes construction difficult. The second steel can is placed inside the construction platform to make sure the tolerances are correct. A convoy of cement trucks arrive at the worksite, one after another, all day long. It'll take a huge amount of cement to fill this giant hole in the ground. Time has finally come to construct the massive 350-foot crane, which will lift the three elements of the tower, the nacelle, the hub, and the blades into place. This gigantic crane is put together on site by two smaller cranes. Each element of the crane is extremely strong, but amazingly light in weight. The elements are laid out and bolted together in a straight line on the ground, then they're lifted into place. The very first piece of hardware to arrive in Ipswich is the hub, which will hold the three wing-like blades of the turbine. Then the three huge 132-foot blades arrive in town on amazingly long trailers with rear wheels which are remotely controlled by a following service vehicle. The nacelle is the next to arrive, although not the biggest load to be brought to Ipswich. It is by far the heaviest, since it contains all the steel components used to generate the electricity. Next to arrive is the top section of the tower. It's the longest section, measuring 98 feet. It's quite a risky maneuver to drive it through the sharp turns in Lord Square. Even the crowd's impressed by the skill of the operator. Things are finally coming together. The workmen are preparing the base section of the tower to be lifted into place on the foundation. A Tiger decal and an Ipswich decal adorn the nacelle. They appear huge on the ground, but will seem very small when they reach 300 feet up. The foundation is ready, and the crew installs huge hooks on the tower, which will be used to lift it. Everything is in place. To the left of the sights, we see the hub. As the camera moves to the right, there's the base section, the midsection, the nacelle, the top section, and the blades.
Now, exactly what are you doing?
Just a quick touch-up. I'll put a little base on it right now, and then I'll come back and square it off with some tape, make it look all nice and neat.
Very good. What material are you using?
It's called a Reeves paint. What it does is it puts a nice coat on top, keeps it from, keeps the UV rays and everything out of it. That way, it doesn't do any damage.
2 cranes are used to stand the module upright. The crew lowers the cylinder in order to remove the lower hooks, and now just 1 crane finishes setting the tower into the foundation. This is where precise engineering and exact tolerances pay off. The holes at the bottom of the tower must line up exactly with the bolts in the foundation, and after a little persuasion, they do. The middle section of the tower goes as successfully as the base. It takes 2 cranes to lift the modules up from the horizontal to the vertical position. At that point, the section is lowered. The lower hooks are removed. The smaller crane is unhitched, and the larger crane lifts the tower into position. Glenn Barry, one of the crane operators, agreed to climb to the top of the tower with the Pixie video camera to shoot these scenes of Ipswich, never before seen from this angle. It's breathtaking. In order to avoid any problem with the wind, the site director calls for a 5:30 a.m. start to lift the topmost and tallest module of the structure into place. It's a beautiful April morning, and finally things seem to be going right. The lift will bring the tower almost to its final height, with only the nacelle left to sit on top. At last, it's time to fly the nacelle. This is the heaviest piece of equipment that the crane must lift. It also has to go the highest, sitting on the top of the 3 tower units. The crane operator states that there are only 5 feet of room left at the top of the crane when the lift takes place. This is the big day. It's early in the morning of May 3rd. Time to fly the blades. This is what everyone's been waiting for. All the components are in the right place. 2 huge cranes are powering up, and the crew is anxious to get to work. One of the workmen is making some final adjustments inside the hub, and Ron Chevet, TE supervisor, gives the order to proceed.
Everybody ready?
Yeah.
Here we go. On 1, 3, 2, 1.